I'm not sure. It says two people watching now. If you're on YouTube and
Jessica,
it's,
can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
yes, I can hear you now.
I started the YouTube, but I stopped it. Now we are going again. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Pay intentional about the things you do, about the things you say, the choices that you make. Be intentional about everything in life. Be intentional.
Hey, 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 everyone. Hey, Intentional Nation. Welcome to the place where bold, mind-blowing, and the no tiptoeing conversation happens. This is the Be Intentional with Cheska show. And if you're new here, I'm Cheska and I'm your host. Well, tonight, we are diving into a conversation that many in our African Christian communities, especially, would rather sweep under the carpet. But hey, we're not doing that today. We are bridging the gap between faith, therapy, coaching, and mentoring because far too long, stigma has kept us silent. And tonight, and the next few weeks, just on um, we are on a mission to break the stigma, to blend faith with real life growth, and showing you, pardon me, how to thrive, not just survive. And I am thrilled, very much thrilled, to have with me two of the finest growth catalysts, pathfinders, wisdom carriers that you would ever find, I know them to be passionate about helping people live whole in the mind, in the body, and in the spirit. We're talking about breaking the stigma, and we're talking faith, coaching, mentoring, therapy, and wholeness. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our first guest, Mrs. Jennifer Laban, who is a growth and development coach. Mrs. Jennifer Laban provides ongoing support and guidance to help her clients stay on track and make progress. Clients of which I have been a part of for many years. I've been privileged, guys. And when you watch me on that field of life with so much power in my swing and on my game, guess whose voice is keeping me in the game? Mrs. Jennifer Laban. Bear with me a second. Let me put this off. Yeah. You want a compassionate, understanding space with ongoing support and guidance to get on with the tools that can keep you on track or help you progress. She's the one. Her services are backed by years of professional experience, which she draws on to give the best possible support to her clients. Her goal, I will tell you, is to help you, to help me find the balance and fulfillment in our lives. It doesn't get any better than that. And also with me is my second guest, Mr. Ebenezer Saki Benin, who is an integrative counselor and coaching practitioner with many, many, many years of experience under his sleeves and a registered member of the British Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy with an MSc in integrative counseling and coaching. One thing I can tell you, I've also known Mr. Saki Benin for over a decade. And talk of the man who will come alongside you and help you resolve your inner conflict and improve your personal life in the face of psychological, emotional, behavioral, and relationship challenges. He is the man. But the beauty of these two guests that I have here is they are great people of faith. So, yes, when they say prayer, coaching, and therapy can sit at the same table together, they know what they are saying. Now, you're going to hear me refer to Mrs. Laban as Mama J and Mr. Saki Benin as Uncle Sek. So, ladies and gentlemen, put in some emojis and welcome my guest here tonight. And maybe the first I would go to is Mrs. Jennifer Laban. I've said a bit about you, Auntie Jennifer, but in your own words, who is Jennifer Laban as a growth and development coach? How did you get here?
Well. Thank you, Cheska. Thank you so much for that invitation and for that rallying cry in getting us started. It's an absolute delight to be here. And as you can tell, I am really quite passionate about coaching. So my background, as Cheska said, I have many years of experience. My background is in health. I was for many years clinical in my background and then went into managerial and strategic work in the health service. And as time went on, I discovered the power of coaching and decided that coaching was something that I wanted to do. It was it had a great impact on my life when I was going through some difficult challenges. And I decided to study it and gain some practice in it. And I've now founded Clarity Pathways, which is my coaching practice. And that's where I am today. So absolutely loving this conversation, and I can't wait to get stuck in so we can tear it apart and get some understanding about what coaching,
Thank you,
everything is. Awesome.
Thank you, Mama J. Thank you. Welcome to the Be Intentional with Cheska show. But before we move on, I want you to tell me again about Clarity Pathway. Did you say that's the company you formed?
Yeah. So yes, so I founded Clarity Pathways in 2024. And before then, I was just working ordinarily, and I thought it was time to get that set up as a proper professional outfit. So I no longer work in the strategic field of the NHS or health service in that way, but I now provide my services back to the NHS or anybody else, particularly in church, around coaching and developing.
Wow. We are honored to have you. We are honored to have you. Thank you very much. Right. Uncle Sak, who is Mr. Saki Benin as an integrative counselor and coaching practitioner? How did you get here?
Hi, Cheska, thank you very much for inviting me over to this, your August channel. Yes, I've been practicing counseling for about 7 years now. And how did I get there? It's a very interesting thing because my background originally has been in policy work, policy advice within the civil service, Her Majesty Civil Service. And so I guess I thought advice comes naturally with me. And I had been advising many believers that I've come across and thought the natural next step was to move into counseling. I remember that when I went for the interview to do my master's in counseling, I was asked if I've ever sat on the other side of the therapy room, therapy table across a therapist. And I said, oh yeah, I mean, like when we're getting married, I did counseling, I received counseling. They said, no. I mean, they meant, have you had counseling from a therapist, which you have paid for? And I said, I hadn't. And they said, well, maybe you need to go and sit on the other side, experience the life of a client, then come back next year and apply for this this course. So I had to wait a whole year to do this. And of course, I engaged the services of a therapist, and that experience completely changed my perspective on what counseling is, because I thought counseling was me giving advice. And I found out that it's not about giving advice. It's about you being authentic, being real, being compassionate, being empathetic, and coming alongside the clients and listening, taking time to listen, because listening is so important, to hear them out and not to be too quick to offer solutions, because really the solutions are within themselves. So that has been a journey for me. I thought I was going to help people, but I found out that I was rather helping myself.
Wow.
Yeah. So
I like that.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey for me, and I would like to share more with other people. So
Wow, I like that. I thought I was going to help people, but it was helping me. And I love what Mama J also said, that she moved from nursing into coaching, and which is quite a practical way of announcing what you do, because that is saying to somebody today that wherever I am, if it's not where I want to be, I can go where I want to be. And you are the best person to have on the show. So thanks to you too for joining us. Now, if you're on here, if you're on YouTube, or if you're on Zoom, I want you to do me a favor. Just share this on your social media handles and invite others. Invite somebody who has lost their way in career, in marriage, in life, and they need that oomph, because today is for you. Invite somebody who is struggling emotionally, in any way, and they need to hear what this is all about, because in the church, in a Christian community, in the ethnic minority, we have all sorts of myths around these tools that the Lord has given us to help us on our journey. So go ahead and share this to your friends, to your families. Invite somebody on here. You can share them the Zoom link, let them come in, and please drop your questions. Let us know what you want to know about today as we keep going on. And okay, Uncle Sak, my first question will be to you. I
Right.
don't need coaching. I don't need therapy. I just need prayer. Or you hear people say, just pray about it. Now, why is this response not always enough when people are struggling with deep emotional or mental health issues?
Right. Thank you for that question. It's a very good question. Um, so it's great to pray. We all need to pray. Jesus taught us how to pray. Yeah. But sometimes life's turns, twists and turns bring you to a place where it's not that prayer is not enough. Prayer is touching God, really. But sometimes when we touch God, He uses other people to touch you, all right, and to help you. Jesus multiplied somebody's few fishes and bread. Why didn't Jesus command bread and fish to come down from heaven and feed the 5,000? Why did He need to use a little boy's lunch?
Mm.
But through that, He's taught us massive lessons about sharing, about acting out in faith and obedience, because when the disciples obeyed what He told them to do, then the miracle happened. So sometimes people will need somebody else, like a counselor, like a coach, to help bring your prayer, to help answer your prayer. Let me put it that way. All right.
Okay.
So I don't know if that is, kind of resonating with you about it, but prayer absolutely is enough. But life goes on. We are human beings.
Mhm.
We need sometimes a friend to stand with us in prayer, but also in practical ways of helping you. And sometimes the help may be in the area of helping you emotionally, helping you sometimes physically with some physical needs, sometimes grieving with you, and whatever it takes to help you come through whatever issues you are going through. So maybe that's how I'll just start, and maybe, um, Jennifer might throw something else in, or if there's more clarification required, you can ask some more.
So if I'm hearing you, what you're saying is prayer is definitely important. But in as much as prayer is important, God answers prayer through people,
Yes,
through tools, through strategies, techniques,
yes,
many forms to answer the prayer. And that is where the coach and the therapist comes in,
yes,
and you need them.
Yes. Because sometimes we are too spiritual, okay, in quotes. So you are praying about something. Clearly, there's a need, which is driving you to pray, isn't it? Maybe a health issue, maybe a financial issue, maybe an issue at work to do with promotion and so on. These are practical issues people face. You can try to cover it up spiritually, but actually, in reality, this is what people are going through. And therefore, you may need somebody like me to help you with anxiety, for instance, the anxious moments, or sometimes when people are going to work, and the situation at work is terrible. Maybe you have a bad relationship with other colleagues or even with your line manager, and so going to work is something you don't look forward to. You have panic attacks. Okay. You pray, but you're still panicking. You need somebody like a therapist to stand with you and help you to deal with that anxiety or that panic. And sometimes you need some practical help with how to improve upon your performance at work so that, you can maybe be promoted or do something else. You need a coach to help you to do that. And even better if the coach is a Christian, because believe you me, as Christian therapists and coaches, we do pray for our clients behind the
Right.
scenes.
Right. I like that. I like that you do pray for your clients because this is where Jesus comes in.
Yeah.
Because the question I've been asking on social media is, where is Jesus in therapy? Where is Jesus in coaching? So if you are praying for them, then it means that Jesus is being invited to this table as well. He sits there, and I'm glad to hear that, because somebody needs to hear that before we even delve into the struggles we have around these tools. And I don't know if Mama J wants to add to it, but Mama J, whilst you prep to add to it, the question I would like to ask you is that some of us have been saved, but we are still limping in life, in our marriages, in our finances, in our career, social life. It's not going well. We are literally limping. I'm not experiencing that wholeness that I need as a Christian, as a person of faith. What could possibly be happening?
Interesting question. And just to add a little bit to the first discussion. So, often as Christians, yes, praying is great. I agree with Uncle Saki completely. But, in the same way as if you had a disease, let's say you had kidney disease or you had cancer. Yes, of course, as Christians, we pray. We would love to see instant miracles, instant healing. But we still go to the doctor because
Yeah.
we know that God can heal in so many different ways. He can heal through medicine, through pharmacy, through whatever. And in the same way, these therapists or these disciplines exist to support you in getting somewhere. I always see therapy very much as, well, coaching. I see coaching is when you want to improve something in your life.
That's right.
And therapy is when something isn't quite right, like Uncle Saki mentioned a bit about anxiety. So you may be super anxious, not the normal anxiety that day to day everybody has, but there's some people who are crippled by anxiety. And you can try and pray it out, or you can go and seek somebody who's got the expert knowledge who can help you, as you would go and see a doctor. So that's the way that I see it, is that yes, prayer, as we know as Christians, prayer goes hand in hand with also seeking medical help in the same way as you would seek a counselor or therapist or a coach. Now, to the question of, remind me again of the question, because I of course, I've gone around the houses a bit.
I think you're on track, but the question I wanted to ask was, why is it that we are saved and yet we are still limping? I'm not experiencing that wholeness in my life. So what exactly could be happening?
So, I mean, as we know, we are saved. Our spirit is born again, but the soul and the body is still as it is. And there's so many things that make us who we are. And part of the Christian walk is constantly developing yourself. That is why, Paul says, forgetting what lies behind, I strive on to perfect that which, and we know that perfection doesn't come until the day Jesus comes. But there is so much more for us to consume and to improve on to make our lives better. And I, as a coach, I mean, I see so many people, Christians, non-Christians, who, as you say, are limping. Especially, I mean, I started off this journey particularly around coaching with relationships. So a lot of people used to come to me because other relationships were a bit wonky. And that's kind of where my coaching career kind of started. And you can see couples who are on the surface come to church together. It all looks honky-dory, but at home things aren't right. Now, that could be because of something really tiny, or it could be just because they need somebody outside, as Uncle Saki said, to hear them, to be able to help them get an awareness of what might be going on, feel safe to be able to share those things. I mean, you wouldn't get up and share some of those things with just any old body. But when you have somebody who's professional and somebody who understands and somebody who's trained, you can feel confident that, number one, whatever you're going to say is going to be in confidence and it's not going to be all over the world. And number two, they're trained enough to hear what it is that you're saying. And number three, they're going to be capable of, as you said, supporting you with the right tools to be able to handle life a bit better. So I don't know if that answers it. But
that answers it. That answers it. And I think I can testify to that myself, because I remember the first time I came to you as a coach. I didn't even know you were a coach to start with. So probably there must be something about coaches and therapists that naturally makes you comfortable in their presence to open up. Not that I had major issues, but I had a few things going on in my marriage, which you might call it little foxes as we know it. They don't look huge. They're not going to eat you up. But as little as they are, they could really damage or sap the joy out of life, the joy out of the marriage, out of the career. And your ability to take me on that journey was what made the difference for me. I mean, I dare to even think of where I would have been now if not for you coming along as a coach to help me in that respect. So yes, I can understand how we may not be experiencing wholeness until we bring in that third person who is a professional. And I like to hone in on that, because it's not just anybody you go to speak to. So being a professional makes a lot of difference. And that is why I think later on down the line, we would have a discussion around that. So yes, thank you so much. Well, if you are in here, just drop your message and let us know what's happening. What are your thoughts around what we are discussing? What questions do you have? I'll keep looking down. I'm not being rude. I'm just trying to get the questions out so that I can bring it up. Thank you so much to our guests. So far, it looks like we're cruising. I'm already eager to get into this very well. So thanks to you two for highlighting on these things. Uncle Sak, why is seeking help in the form of therapy in most of our African churches, especially, and I use the word most, I'm not saying all of it, because I'm aware that some churches might be doing well. But why is seeking help in the form of therapy treated like a confession of weak faith? Why is that?
Thank you. That is a bit of a controversial issue in church at the moment. In many churches, there is this suspicion that already, I mean, there is a bit of a stigma around seeking therapy, seeking help from counselors and so on, and especially from back home, where I come from. It's associated with being mad, right? So
Okay.
if you are known to have gone to see a therapist and you are associated with people who are in mental homes, right?
Okay.
So people already have that stigma that they don't want to be. So even if they're going through a problem or an issue, they don't want to go and seek help because the idea is that you are going mad, you are mental. All right. But also within the church, because we are people of faith
Mhm.
and we have been taught to pray about everything. And there are all these promises about healing in the Bible. And Jesus healed, and there's no question about that. But somehow it is felt that so long as you are reading your Bible, you are attending church, you are doing all the Christian things that, discipling, witnessing, and living a holy life, life should be okay. You should be all right. That is the theory. In practice, we find many, many Christians who are doing exactly that. They pray all right, they are faithful in church, they try as much as possible to do what the Bible commands them to do. And yet they are having failed marriages because something is not working between the two of them. They are failing exams and thinking, what is happening? I thought he said, ask and you will receive. Seek, you
It's
will
an
find.
attack from the enemy, maybe.
Or it could be an attack. The enemy is attacking me.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of these things happening. And so it's a bit of a conflict for many people because how do you reconcile the fact that you're a Christian, there are all these promises, and you are claiming them, something is not happening the way they are not, it's not working out right for you. So it's almost, and I'm afraid to say that sometimes even some pastors, are that way, that they are skeptical about therapy. And they feel that you are not exercising sufficient faith. Because if you had faith like a mustard seed, everything would be possible to you, isn't it? That's what people have been taught. And the reality is that they don't always own up and say these things to the pastor or to elders in the church, but they are struggling at home or they are struggling in their own life. All right. So I think that this is the issue, that they don't see how faith in God, in Jesus Christ, can align with seeking therapy, because it's almost as if to seek therapy is an admission of lack of faith.
Yeah.
Or there is a shame associated with it, because to seek therapy is almost an admission that you are not walking in the Christian life the way it should be. Because truly, if you were walking in the Christian life the way it should be, you shouldn't have any anxiety. You shouldn't have any panic attacks. You shouldn't have any fears or phobias. Your relationship should be just excellent. And the struggle to resolve this conflict is what is driving many, many people further into maybe depression. And some people actually walk away from the faith because they believe that, well, it doesn't work. So I think that this is an issue that needs, I guess this is why we are here, to try to bridge this gap between faith and actually protecting people's mental health, among others, mental and emotional health and well-being.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you, this is stemming from lack of education to start with, and a stigma that is at stake. Now, what surprises me about lack of education and stigma is we are in the year 2025. You will think that we've progressed from still thinking that going into therapy, seeking coaching, it's for crazy people, it's for people who have nothing doing and all that. And we are literally shying away as a church from it. But that's because we are still holding on to the fact that is stemming out of you being weak.
Mm.
Because we've also been told that once you come to Christ, maybe everything is supposed to work well. I mean, we are saying from the pulpit that many are the afflictions of the righteous. However, when the afflictions
Do come.
happens, when they do come, it is down to either you not being prayerful enough, or you not fasting enough, or
Mhm.
you not doing all the doings enough. And so to progress, even to seek therapy for something you're struggling with, or to go to coaching for the tools to guide you to progress from one place to the other, is considered as not trusting God, which is a very, it's serious and very detrimental even to our faith, because at some point when the struggle gets real
Yeah.
and you're praying and it seems as if it's not working because you are at a place where you need to use these tools, then you're going to think God is not answering your prayers,
Yeah.
or it's the devil doing it. And I'm glad you highlighted on that, the fact that even some pastors find it difficult to relate to therapy and
Yeah.
coaching as well.
Yeah.
Mama J, as people of faith, where is Jesus in coaching? Like, why? Because some people actually fear that going to a therapist, going to a coach might even pull them away from God. Can
Well,
you
I think,
explain how
yeah.
these work together?
I mean, I would say, I mean, listening to you and when you were talking about, so I would say that, you know, going for coaching or going for therapy, Jesus is right in there. The Bible says that as a man thinks, so is he. The Bible
Mm.
also says that iron sharpens iron. Now, when you were talking, I was thinking about when I was clinical, and my background is in oncology. And I used to be a trustee on one of the cancer charities that used to raise awareness about cancer. And if I tell you how many times I had Christians who had cancer who would consider going through treatment a taboo because their church is praying for them, and therefore that their miracle is coming, and therefore they would refuse to have chemotherapy. And I've seen countless of such people die, leaving young ones behind. So it's not surprising then that when it comes to things of the mind and things of development and improvement and making yourself better, people are not even thinking about how do we go and seek support outside of what the Holy Spirit is doing. And it's not even outside of what the Holy Spirit is doing. You know, the Holy Spirit doesn't suddenly, as you said, you know, why isn't God feeding us with manna like he did in the days of Israel? He could, but he's not. You have to go out and forage or go out and work so you can get money to go to Sainsbury's to make food to eat. Yeah. So in the same way, I'm not surprised that sometimes that gulf between people thinking that if I've prayed, I should get my miracle. And if I'm not getting my miracle, it's because I don't have enough faith. When God is saying there's so many other things out there, seek it.
Mm.
You know, and as you were talking, I was also thinking, do Christians even know that therapy exists? Do Christians even know that coaches exist? If I look
Do
at the
they
world,
even, not to catch you, do they even know if there is a problem that requires that?
yeah. I mean, in the coaching world, most senior executives, most high-flying, high-performing leaders in this world all have coaching. What do you think got Oprah Winfrey where she got to? She had a coach. I can tell you his name, but I won't say so online. But all top leaders, top executives have coaching. My passion is to ensure that everybody knows and understands what coaching can do for you or therapy, and you understand how you can access it. Because honestly, it's the difference between mediocre and performing.
Excellent.
And
That's
excellent.
right.
Yeah.
That's right. I like that. There is a difference between mediocre and excellence. I love that. I really love that. Hearing you, Mama J, I think sometimes two people cannot even envision the transformation that can happen if you have these tools. Again, I come back to my story. Personally, I've heard of coaches. I mean, I've heard a few that call themselves coaches, but if I'm going to be honest, you were the first professional coach. Now, what does marriage got to do with coach? You know what I mean? What has marriage got to do with coaching? Is what, because you would think if you're having teething problems or major problems, you're going to a marriage counselor. But, and I'm not disputing going to a counselor or a therapist, I'm one myself. But to think that you walked alongside with me as a coach, and I am where I am, at the time, I didn't know where I could be. And I didn't know where I could not be if I didn't seek that help or if you didn't offer me that help. So I would say that the question I would want to know is what transformation could happen if we stopped treating faith and coaching or faith and therapy as opposites and embrace them as friends. What are some practical transformations?
So I'll use my own example, the transformation that I got from coaching. So and if I have a podcast out there, and that's the first story, that's the first episode in my podcast telling you how I came to coaching. And this was the time when I was going through a big reorganization in the NHS. You can imagine everybody thought they were going to lose their jobs. And so for senior members of staff like us, we were given just two sessions of coaching that we could access. And I remember going in there being quite grumpy about the fact that this was happening to me. And why was this happening to me? And I remember the coach would just listen and reflect back to me what I just said. And so he'd say, oh, so, and I was like, oh, they're going to make us all redundant. And he was like, oh, they're going to make you redundant? And I'm like, yes. And he kept repeating that because that's what I was saying. And what he was trying to get me to understand was I was putting myself in a victim position when actually I had the power to decide what I wanted. And it was only after we had that conversation, and then suddenly the penny dropped, and I thought, oh, I can decide what I want to do. I don't have to leave things to happen to me randomly. I can take control. I can put myself back in the control seat, and I can stop this whole business of thinking, oh, God will put me where he's going to. Yes, God will, but there's something he expects you to do. And that was the beginning of my transformation journey. I suddenly had a new lease of life in saying, I am taking control. So it's like almost being intentional. So I decided I am going to be intentional about my life, and I'm not going to allow other people's decisions or the system to shape or define me. That's the transformative power of coaching.
I suddenly needed a new lease of life. I think I could also say that. I suddenly needed a new lease of life. I mean, why are we making Christian life so difficult? Because if these tools are there, and thank God you've got Christian coaches, Christian therapists still out there, why do we still want to have that frame of mind that going to these tools means you are weak in faith? And what do we gain from that anyway? Yes, transformative life is you suddenly feel that you have a new lease of life. And I'm telling you, you wouldn't know that new lease of life until you experience it, because I have been there. So yes, they are not opposite. They walk hand in hand. And guess what? That comes in and gives you the new lease of life. I love it. So let's hear what our online community are saying. I can't seem to access the Zoom questions here, but I'll go on YouTube. I have Nanama here. Thank you for joining. Roberta is here. I think there are a lot of people on there, but for the few that have put in the questions are the ones I'm mentioning their names. The Nanama says there is a perception that you should figure it out by yourself. When you are not, then it implies that you're not strong enough. Amen.
Yes.
Why would I want to figure it out myself when somebody can help me do that easily?
Absolutely.
Because sometimes it's all muffled. And we say it, I don't know how I can put it in English. In our Akan language, they say that you cannot literally, you can't be in the midst of the red ants. Yes, and get rid of them. You need to be out of it. And sometimes I think this is where the coaches and the therapists they come in because they are standing outside. They are not coming in with the same emotions. I wouldn't talk for you because we will get there. So yes, Nanama, you are so right that there is a perception out there that you need to figure it out yourself. No, you don't need to figure it out. I'm sure this world is too full of things we can figure out. So if somebody else can help you, why not?
Absolutely.
Yes. But Mama J, still on you. Let me ask you, have you seen examples where coaching and therapy actually deepened a person's walk with God? I'm not just talking about the benefits, but have you ever seen anybody from who, and well, it's not for Mama J, it's for both of you. Have you ever had examples where because somebody was working with a coach, because somebody was working with a therapist, actually their walk with God was rather deepened? What stood out most about such transformation, if you have any?
Ansat, do you want to go first?
Oh, go ahead, and then
I would say that I probably have, a couple of examples of people who I've worked with. And I love working with Christians. And for some reason, I would say that about 80% of my clients are people of faith. And very often they have this, we're all human, even though we're believers. And I'm the first person to say, I hate that expression of saying, oh, I'm only human. That only human thing sometimes can be a bit of an excuse. So I'm saying we're human. I'm not saying we're only human as an excuse. I'm just saying that because of our humanity, and the way that our brain works. So I don't want to go into neuroscience, but if you think about the way your brain works, your brain is there to protect you. Okay, your brain's main function in this world is to protect you. So when you're an actress or you're a child and you're going to go get in a school play and you get butterflies in your tummy, that's your brain saying, oh, are you sure this is all right for you to do? Oh my God, are you not scared? This is crazy. Why are you trying to do this? And somehow all actresses, all top actresses have this, and then somehow they're able to calm their brain down and say, I'm going to be okay, calm down. Okay, so even as a believer, there are things when you can hear that God is telling you to do that you might have a little bit of oh, what if I fall down flat on my face? Oh, what if this doesn't work? Oh, and you've heard God's voice, right? And so sometimes just having somebody to hear you out, to be able to spill it out, those amazing mixed up, I call it the messy middle, that mixed up thing in your head where you've got so many voices telling you things. And some of those voices might be voices that you heard from when you were a child saying, oh, you're not going to do this. Oh, it's not going to work. All of that stuff. But being able to empty all of that and put it out there, and somebody being able to say, actually, that's normal. Now let's deal with it. Now let's look at the fear. And being able to use scripture whilst you're coaching somebody is the most powerful thing. I love coaching believers, and it's just turning it around and bringing about an awareness of what's stopping them. And often what's stopping them, as you often do, it's yourself. It's the stories you tell yourself. It's the narrative that's in your head. And being able to tease it all out in a safe environment, in a safe place. Nobody's judging you. We're just partners thinking this through. That's the beauty of it.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you because, again, as your client, I have every right to give those examples out here. It deepened my personal walk with God. I thought I knew God, but having a coach with me, going into therapy, sitting in the therapy chair with a Christian therapist, that's the beauty of it for me. And unraveling certain things and being exposed to the fact that I've been selling myself short. And I can do all that the Bible is saying I can do because I have somebody who is cheering me on. I have somebody who is taking off the layers, helping me identify that I've got it all in me. So yes, Mama J, because I can't access my Zoom as it is because I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
If there are any questions on Zoom, please just feel free and interrupt me on there.
Will do.
All right then.
So far, no
Okay.
questions, but keep the questions coming, people.
Yes, please keep the questions coming because this is getting cute. We are having it as it is, no filters, and we're just going for it. But I have a question that people have been asking. And either before I go on to that question, Uncle Sak, do you have any transformative story of how therapy depends somebody's walk with God?
Absolutely, absolutely. I have several examples of them, but I mean, there was this client that I worked with who, and actually, this was more in the area of coaching because it was in the area of finances, and things were not working out for him actually in the area of investments, and he was making a lot of money and then losing a lot of money, and so we worked, and obviously when these things happen, they impact on. He was a Christian, and they impacted on his faith very much because then you lose faith, you lose hope, and sometimes you then begin to pick up certain habits that are not very, very helpful, you know. So we went through that and we managed to find a solution that helped him. And I'm happy to say that as a result of that, he subsequently was able to settle down and marry his sweetheart. So we thank God for that, and also deepened his commitment in church. He was able to take up more responsibility in church and stuff like that. But I wanted to also kind of use that to say that the transformative power of coaching and therapy, Jesus exemplified that. And there are many
Okay.
examples in the Bible. And I want to give one example. Because, first of all, Jesus said, what? Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men, isn't it?
Mm.
So the disciples, a few of them were fishermen, I mean, catching actual fish. And now Jesus introduces this new concept of making you fish men. And isn't that what it's all about? Fishing, bringing men in, bringing people in, and
Yeah.
teaching his disciples how to do that. And it was almost like saying, I'm the model. Jesus is the model. Jesus is
Yeah.
our model. He is the one we follow. And so you can see that the disciples very much followed what he taught them. And one good example that Jesus gave, which I would say supports both coaching and counseling, is the woman at the well. That Samaritan woman at the well.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus made sure that she was safe because he met this woman alone. There was nobody else there to interrupt him. It was an hour that nobody was around to, come and interrupt their session, if I may put it that way.
Yeah.
Jesus began to talk with the woman, first listening to her as she
Mm.
asked her questions, deep questions about the faith. And Jesus is talking all along and answering the questions. And then out of nowhere, Jesus reveals that he knows that this woman has had 5 husbands. And that surprises the woman, isn't it? How did he know?
Yes.
And I'm seeing this as one of the bridges between counseling and coaching and our faith, because Jesus had the word of knowledge, the word of wisdom to be able to reveal to this woman stuff that she didn't think anybody else could know, possibly know. And wouldn't it be amazing if, as coaches and as therapists, during our sessions, we are praying and asking God, give me insight into this
Mm.
person's background, or give me insight into where this person is coming from. And if the Lord were to reveal that to you and add the wisdom so that you would know how to best help this person, wouldn't that be amazing? Wouldn't that be
It would
amazing?
be.
Wouldn't that bridge the gap that we are talking about? And for people to see that you can be both a coach and a therapist, and also be a complete Christian who is working in the gifts of the Holy Spirit, isn't it?
Mm.
All right. So, and then what happens to the woman as a result? she goes and she's, hey, everybody, come and see this man who has revealed everything to me about, and Jesus uses that opportunity also to teach us amazing theological issues. Because what is it? What is it? This woman was saying that it's only in Jerusalem that we can go and worship. And Jesus uses that to teach us that God is spirit, and they that worship him should worship him in spirit and in truth. Basically, you can worship him anywhere. Jerusalem, great if you can go there. But if you can't, you can worship him in Samaria. You can worship him in Judea. You can worship him in Africa. You can worship him anywhere, isn't it? So
Yeah.
this woman's life is transformed. You can talk about Peter, fisherman, suddenly becoming this bold guy who is able to stand up on the day of Pentecost and preach, and thousands believe. So the transformative power of what Jesus did, which is what we are also trying to emulate, to copy, and to bring into our coaching and therapy and mentoring, services. I think that is absolutely spot on.
Wow. The transformative power of what Jesus did. And I like the fact that you mentioned he was listening to the woman. He listened. And that is what you get when you go for these therapies and coaching, because you have that compassionate space, that non-judgmental space. Because using that story of the woman at the well, it's a typical example of non-judgmental space that was offered. So yes, therapy and coaching is no different from faith. They are not enemies. Actually, they work hand in hand. But Uncle Sack, many people give advice. Many people, and many can offer advice due to either being wise, being experienced, etc. How different is professional counseling from what is being offered? If that's what you're saying, that's what you are doing. I'm sure there are people sitting in our churches who are saying, well, I'm also using transformational power that Jesus emulated. So what's the difference between going to a professional counselor and going to just any other wise person?
Great question. I think that Jennifer more or less answered this question, kind of, and I'll just refer to that. So when you are ill,
Mm-hmm.
most of us probably at home, you have a first aid kit, you have this box, you have some plaster in it, you have some paracetamol in it, you have, whatever. And you can go in and pick something and address your condition. Or if you're a child, it's probably your parents, your mom, or an auntie or a friend might just suggest something. Oh, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Which is a bit like giving general advice, right? But if it is a serious issue, you absolutely want to be at the hospital. You want to be in the hands of an expert who knows how to diagnose the real problem, because there could be many conditions that exhibit the same symptoms and so on. So you want somebody who can actually, maybe through laboratory tests and so on, be able to identify what exactly you're going through and then be able to prescribe the necessary medication that you need. So you need an expert's intervention to deal with more serious problems. And
So are you saying that therapy is just for more serious problems then?
no, I'm just saying, I'm just giving an analogy here. And if you are going for a surgery, you want to believe that this surgeon knows what he's about. Because some people have gone to the surgical table and never returned. And if as a doctor, you have that reputation that people don't survive your surgeries, I think that people are going to avoid your surgery or your hospital. You see what I mean? So it is with the issues, emotional issues. See, when somebody is hurt physically, is wounded, maybe a cut, and there's a physical injury, those can be addressed. You know, you can put a plaster, you can deal with whatever. But the emotional injuries, the mental injuries, behavioral injuries, these are within, you know, and it's
Yeah.
more difficult to diagnose those. So you don't want just anybody giving advice and saying, oh, maybe this is what is the cause, maybe that is what is the cause. You want somebody who is a trained coach or a
Yeah.
trained therapist who can, just like, you know, an expert doctor or surgeon, who can actually properly diagnose the problem. Unfortunately, there are many people around who don't have the knowledge, the skills, the expertise
Mm.
to correctly, accurately diagnose what is really happening at the root, what is really the root problem of the issues you are going through. And this is the difference between a trained counselor or a trained therapist and somebody who is not trained. All right. And you know, one of the key ethical issues in counseling is that you do no harm to the client. Unfortunately, some of these other people, they do more harm than good
Yeah.
because they haven't correctly diagnosed the problem. And
Mm.
sometimes the advice that they give does not help. It actually does more harm than good. Or sometimes they have been known to even take advantage of vulnerable clients, you know, and have done things that are really not ethical. So I think that it's absolutely important that if you have an emotional issue, a mental issue, or a behavioral issue, or sometimes even a spiritual issue, you go to the right source. You go to a professional body
Yeah.
and look for people who are registered members of these professional bodies which have oversight over the profession, because you can be sure that if they are members in good standing, because you know the oversight is very, very thorough.
Yeah.
And if a practitioner is not really adhering to the, you know, professional standards of that body, then they can be removed from the register. Do you see?
Mm.
But a lot of these other people, you know, they are not accountable to anybody. There's no supervision to check that they are following the standards. And so if there's
Mm.
anything goes wrong, who are you going to, you know, report him to? There's no complaint system for some of these people, and there's no way of 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 redeeming yourself, you know, when the damage has been done. So
Mm.
I see that there's I mean, the area of counseling and coaching is not as regulated as some of these other, you know, psychologists and psychiatrists and so on. They are not strictly regulated, but like the British Association for Counseling and Psychotherapy, it's an accredited body. It's accredited by the Professional Qualifications Council or something. They are accredited. So you can be sure that they are maintaining high standards and
Mm.
requiring their members to maintain high standards. And it's if you are not a member, um, well, you need to decide whether you want to go to somebody who is an expert, who has oversight and all that, or somebody who doesn't, depending upon the issues that
Yeah.
you bring into the issues that you are
Wow.
facing.
So if I'm hearing you right, the reason why if you have an issue that you need to go to a therapist, pardon me, as opposed to just going to someone seeking advice, the difference is the therapist has an ethical responsibility not to do harm
No,
in the process of giving you that space, in the process of giving that advice. And then again, they must be part of a certified body so that you can hold them accountable and
absolutely,
responsible should they do that harm. Which
absolutely.
is something I think in the next we probably will be honing in March because there is a lot going on. And thank you for that answer. And so yes, you can seek advice anywhere, everywhere, but the tendency to come across somebody doing harm to you, it's great. And well, you cannot hold them responsible. And also, if you really need help, you're better off going to the person who has been trained, giving all the skills and all the tools to help you walk that journey. Mama J, still on the topic of seeking professional help as opposed to just seeking help anywhere. Let's talk about the quick certified coaches that are popping up everywhere. I mean, there are people out there doing 1 month calls and calling themselves coaching. Not to say that that is not good enough, but there could be a harm that is being done if you're just sitting there to do it 1 month, as opposed to somebody who is really doing a 1 year, 2 years, 6 months. There is a difference there. How dangerous can that be for the client and even for that individual?
I think just following on what Uncle Saki was saying, I think there is something about, seek if you are making the decision to go and seek help from somebody, a therapist or a coach, then I would say find the right one. So, I mean, for me as a coach, even if somebody seeks me out, before I start that coaching relationship with them, we'll always have what I call a chemistry call. So it's one where we check in to ensure that what you're looking for is what I can give you. And I can also see that me and you, we match and I can work with you. And it's for me, it's one of those safe, wonderful things that I do. And I think most ethical coaches or therapists will probably do the same. I think the thing with being properly trained is that you will know when you can help somebody or when you are the right type of appy for that person or not. So I've had people who've come to me, and after one chemistry conversation, I can recognize that what they need isn't coaching. What they probably need is therapy. And I'm very clear, I'm not a trained therapist, and therefore I will not be the right person for them. And that for me is the difference between somebody who's been properly trained and, as Uncle Saki was saying, having the right accreditation. And trust me, it is not easy. Even getting through accreditation is tough, apart from having been trained. So if somebody, and most of these accreditation bodies will expect you to have had a certain number of hours of training and hours of practice before you can even get through that door. So I would say to people that look for people who are, one, trained properly, and most people who are trained properly will make a big song and dance about the fact that they've been trained properly. It's cost a lot of money, and have been accredited, and also are able to recognize when they can and can't help. I mean, I think coaching is a great thing, and lots of people use coaching skills, and that's not bad. I mean, before I became a coach, we learn how to coach, as in your work environment. You can use coaching skills, which is that what you talked about, Jessica, before, about being really good at listening. And when Uncle Saki was talking about, the whole thing about Jesus and the way he talks to women with the number of times I've had sessions with people where I almost feel like I have a gift of prophecy, because I'm just hearing things and repeating it back to them. They're like, how do you know that? I'm like, you just told me because I was listening. And they're so shocked that I can reveal things. I said, no, you just said that. I'm just telling you what I've just heard. And they almost take it like, oh my God, that's something amazing I didn't even know about myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I think I would say to people, I can't regulate the rest of the world. But what I would say is the whole idea of this is ensuring that people understand what coaching is, people understand what therapy is, and people also know where to get good therapy or good coaching from.
Which we are definitely going to go into that. Yes, I don't know if we can get into that today, but that is important, because personally, that irks me a lot. For somebody who has benefited so much from therapy and from coaching, which it has helped me not just as a human being, but even with my walk with God. it is important to me that you identify who a good coach is, who a qualified coach is, who an effective therapist is. Because, and I like what you said, because you said that you have this first session with them even to test the chemistry, because it's important. The fact that the person is a coach, even a certified coach or a certified therapist, does not mean that they will be good for you.
Yeah.
You need that chemistry. And so I think that's one of the things that moving forward, we are going to hone in on and put it out there so that people know the characteristics or the traits or the qualifications or the personality even that you need to look out for to get a good coach.
Can
So
I just
that
say hello
you
to
don't find
Gifty? I've
yourself.
just seen Gifty on the screen. Hi, Gifty. Nice to join us here. Sorry, I
Oh,
just got excited about seeing Gifty on there. Sorry, Jessica.
that's all right. That's okay. Thank you all for joining. Just so that picking from where I was, just so that you don't kind of put a whole blanket on it that therapy doesn't work, coaching doesn't work. It didn't work because there were things you needed to look out for before you choose who to go to and who to speak to. And I just love what you said. Let me pick a comment here from one of our intentional fans. Knowing who you are in Christ begin with a key when it comes to therapy and should be a guide of getting the right therapist. Some years ago, I had a non-Christian therapist, which put me off. I can understand that. That's so, yeah, that's very important. That's very, very important, because if we are saying that all of these are tools God has put in place, it's important. But having said that, I think the emphasis would not just be on the fact that the person was not a Christian. I'll put a caveat there.
Yeah.
The reason being that apart from being a Christian, we're giving tools to work with, we're giving skills to learn. So there could be a whole lot of reasons why somebody might not be good for you, not necessarily a Christian. I'll personally want to go to a Christian counselor because most of the things I would take there is linked to my faith, is linked to my church, is linked to my walk with God and how I see life. So yes, I would want to choose that. But then again, I realize that we have been trained and they have been given the tools. But yes, by all means, if you're a Christian and your faith is key important, you might as well look out for. And that is why I have Uncle Sak and Mama J here. We have a lot of things unraveling. So make sure you don't miss next week, because we're going to tell you where to find that Christian, the spirit-filled therapist and the spirit-filled coach. Mama J, I wouldn't let you go, even though you just answered one of the questions. Let's just get real for a second. Why does coaching and therapy cost so much?
Oh my
What's
God.
the big deal?
So why does it cost so much? I mean, I think it's the recognition of the value that it brings. Okay. So if you
Okay.
go to the dentist, okay, and the dentist says, I mean, I don't know how many of you go to the dentist. I'm always balking at how much it costs when I go to a dentist. But I know it's something that I need. I mean, even to have the hygienist do something, it's going to cost me close to £100. And I'm literally in there for like half an hour. And why? Because there's a value to that. There's a value to what coaching brings. And if we've talked about the transformative power of coaching, and what that can do if you think about that. But quite apart from that, I mean, it is. If I've had a day full of coaching, I kid you not, I am absolutely exhausted. It's not easy work. People think that coaching is just you sitting in a chair and listening, but to do coaching well, it takes, not only does it take expertise, it takes skill, it takes all of those things. So I mean, I would say I wouldn't say coaching was expensive. I would say coaching is of good value. It's valuable,
It's
and you
of
will
good
gain from
value.
it. Yeah.
Can you tell us practically? I know you've said it's a lot of time, a lot of skill, but after that moment of having coaching, what's the effect it has on you? that makes you that is making you say it's difficult?
In terms of me as a coach,
Yes, as a coach, yeah.
I mean, I think what we don't appreciate, I think, for me in my practice, I'm very much I'm present with you. I am in every word that you say. I am focusing on you. I am reflecting back to you so that we can think together. I'm allowing you that space. And I'm doing this concentration for a full 50 to 60 minutes. That is value. That is value, and that takes a toll on me as a person. I mean, to the extent that I very rarely will have more than 5 sessions a day. Very rarely.
Yeah. So it takes a lot out of you as well. You're not just listening and providing space, but it takes a lot out of you. Uncle Sak, can you add to that? Why is
Absolutely.
therapy so expensive?
I totally agree with what Jennifer just said. We spend a lot in education and training. At the moment, if you were to do a 3-year part-time, uh, what do you call it, masters in counseling and coaching, the course that I did, you are paying something like £2,460 per 30 credit modules. Every 30 modules, you pay over 2,500, and there are, I think, about 6 or 7 credits, 30 credit modules to do. So you do the maths. It's a lot of money. On top of that, we have to spend money on, you need a supervisor, so you pay supervision costs, and you do ongoing continuous professional development that costs a lot. And then if you have your own setup, office costs, insurance costs, and so on. So there are financial costs to providing this absolutely necessary service that we
Uncle
are
Sak, you've
giving.
forgotten you do therapy yourself.
Yeah.
I receive therapy
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
I have my supervisor,
That's
and I
right.
have my whenever required, I can engage a personal therapist for my own personal issues,
Yeah.
because we are experts, but we also get vulnerable. Sometimes we also encounter difficulties and conflicts that require help. So there is a lot that we put into therapy and coaching, and so it is worth the fees that we charge. And we do also accommodate people who maybe can't afford the charges. Sometimes, if you're a student or you're an old age person, we can reduce the charges for you. But consider the benefits that you receive from therapy and from coaching, especially if as a result of coaching, you get the promotion that you want, or maybe as a result of it, you secure the job, a dream job, because somebody helped to prepare you for the job interviews and just preparing for it. So there's a lot of benefit, a lot of value that we bring to people. And so if we request something in exchange for that service, some people are charging maybe £50 per session, £75 per session. If you are in the city or Canary Wharf area, it's much, much higher,
Yeah.
But I think it's peanuts compared
Yeah.
to the benefits that ultimately a person receives. Say, if as a result of therapy, your marriage is saved.
Yeah.
What price can you put on that?
Yeah.
You can't put a price on saving your family, saving your marriage, and so on. What price can you put on anything that we provide? So yeah, it's a very costly business. It's a very costly training, education, skills acquisition, further development. Sometimes you even want to go higher. Some people go and do PhD, just to absolutely specialize in a particular area, that is
Oof.
expensive. And I think it's important for people to appreciate that.
Yeah.
And when you are paying for it, do not think that this is too expensive. Think that I'm getting some huge benefit for. And sometimes what you pay, people spend that on teas and coffees and stuff, so
Or a new hairstyle.
or a new
I
hairstyle,
I
isn't
I
it?
I perfectly agree with you. For I am training myself as a therapist, as you would know, and my first experience with a client, I experienced something very strange, different. I usually offer therapy to people before I used to offer counseling, advice, helping. Now I know it was a helping situation to people. But something strange happened the first time I had a proper client as somebody who is training as a therapist. You take their emotions on. You do.
You do.
You do. Yes. Which we call in counseling counter transference and transference. And it's real. And if you're not aware of what's going on within there, you end up going home with somebody else's baggage.
Yeah,
So it's a lot to take on. And you're sitting in the session for an hour, listening to very heavy issues. And as human as we are, you're not supposed to show how it is happening within you. You're supposed to have a non-judgmental space and all of that. Yet you're supposed to be the bigger person in the room.
absolutely.
And you're taking it. So it's a lot to take on, and I perfectly agree with that. Now, any of you can answer this question all too soon. We are coming to an end of this week's session because next week we're going into a lot. But for someone, we've mentioned therapy, we've mentioned coaching. For someone who's never had therapy, who's never had coaching, let's just cut through the jargon. What's the plain and simple difference between therapy and coaching? I want you to be able to break it down like we are 5 years old. Tell us what you would say is the difference, because I have come across people saying, "Oh, therapy really didn't help me. I tried therapy," and by the time I spoke with them, they actually spoke with a coach. Not that coaching doesn't work, because in their minds they didn't realize that the person being a coach is actually pushing you to somewhere. So it's not a matter of they were just there to just listen. They need to help you bring out what is inside of you to progress to where you are. So I want maybe Uncle Sak, you would tell me what's the difference between counseling and coaching.
My professor taught me something. The X and Y axis,
Yeah.
if you are drawing a graph. And the way he illustrated it is that it's not always the situation, but usually when people come for counseling, it's because they are coming from a bad place or a bad space. Usually that is the issue, right? So they are going through depression, like they are listless, like they don't have a clue what is happening in their lives. Suddenly, they are always in a bad mood, they are always in a sad state, depression. Sometimes you see how it manifests itself. People suddenly stop connecting with the usual crowd that they are always isolating themselves. Sometimes they can't sleep because sleepless nights because something has grabbed them. All right. So eventually, when they can't handle it anymore, then they want to come and seek help from a counselor. So my professor would say counseling comes along, we come along this person, whoever they are, from a place of, let's say, -10, just for argument's sake, -10. We bring that person, we work through with that person, maybe 6 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, depending, bring them from a position of -10 to the baseline 0. At 0, we have worked through their issues. They have they've gained self-awareness, some understanding of what the root causes are, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, whatever it is. And then maybe we hand him over to the coach. And the coach takes this person from 0 to a positive 10.
Wow.
Okay. So I always use this analogy because it helps me to explain to clients that the coaching is very much about what is happening now and what is going to happen in the future. We are working to bring you to a place of a positive outcome. All right. Counseling is also positive because from -10 to 0 is positive. It's a
That's right.
progression. All right.
Yeah.
Something positive is happening, but we're bringing you from a place of nothing.
Yeah.
In fact, negative, bringing you to a place where you are on solid ground now. The issues have been resolved. Now you can go on and achieve certain specific goals and objectives, which is very much what coaching is about.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Auntie Jenny, what
Yes,
would
ma'am.
you add to that?
I mean, spot on. I mean, in terms of the moving people on, I agree. I like the analogy of the minus to the positive because the way I see coaching, and I was told when I was training that actually coaching is almost like that coach or the bus that takes you from A to B.
To be.
So for us as coaches, we often see we have to see movement, or we believe that you don't stay the same.
Right.
If you're having coaching, there's always some kind of movement where you were here and we can see that there's a movement and something has happened and something has transformed. And that's kind of how we see it. And if you want to use the analogy even of and top sports performance, they often have a coach. Is if you follow golf, last year, McIlroy finally won one of the majors, and it was attributed to the fact that he had a coach about 3 months before, who was able to work with him to get rid of some of those negative thoughts or imposter syndrome, whatever you might want to call it, the thing that tells you you can't do it, and walking alongside you and trying to understand what's going on. So I believe that there's always a movement, and we challenge you to not stay the same.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much. I really love the analogy you two have given because that explains it. Yes, I asked for a 5-year-old, and that really explains it. So, and the beauty of it is both of them are moving from somewhere to somewhere. You never stay the same, which is very, very beautiful. And I love that. So, yes, for those of us out there who were not too sure what coaching is and what therapy is, to put it simply, you never stay the same. After
the same.
that experience, yes, you never stay the same. So yes, that's a good thing for us to go, for us to participate. Again, Anjani, is there anything on Zoom that we need to pick on? Somebody says, I'm loving the subject. Yes, and thank you all for staying with us. We would continue next week. From which lane to get in? Should I get into the lane of a coach, or should I get into a lane of a therapist? Where do I need the help from? Where would I get that help from? Who do I go to? What should I look for? We will be coming there. But finally, I want to ask that if there is that one person listening who has silently struggled for years but has never told anyone, what do you want to say to them today? If there is any action after hearing today's discussion, what should it be?
Pick up the phone and call.
Okay.
Pick up the phone and call. You see, many people don't come to therapy. Even medically, many people don't go and see, especially the guys. Women tend to be very, ready to seek help. Guys, we struggle to own up to, I need help. So they try to be macho, and you sit with the illness, you sit with the condition until it gets so bad that you can't be helped, properly. So don't delay. I think we've given sufficient reason to approach a counselor or a therapist and seek the help. Throw away the stigma that you are weak if you seek help. You are not weak. In fact, it's the strong people who actually seek help, and they get better at what they are doing, So come on, pick up the call and get through to us.
Pick up the call and seek help. Mama J, I want you to address the Christians, especially because you said you love to work with Christians as a coach. What would you say to every Christian hearing us about coaching?
I would say, that Christians are encouraged to build each other up. It's in the Bible. It's in 1 Thessalonians 5:11. I would say that, as I said before, they say iron sharpens iron. And I would say that to be the best version of yourself, that's exactly what it is that God expects of us. So he picks you up, he sets you off, and he expects us to work out our salvation with fear and trembling. So we don't stay the same. And coaching, therapy, there's no point in, if you're on life's journey and you discover that you need help or you need support, grab it. It's available. And it doesn't make you less of a Christian to be able to seek help. If anything at all, grab those things. And I would say, lots of people might think, oh, rather than pay for coaching, I'll use a self-help book. It only gets you this far. There's a big difference between reading a self-help book and seeking out that specialist or that trained person who can walk alongside you to get you to the place where you want to be. So it's about being the better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And being intentional. Be intentional.
And being intentional, exactly.
About it.
Grab it and take it. I'm sure somebody is asking, where do I go to grab these? Stay tuned next week. We are bringing you more. Today was just the beginning to lay the foundation of where our faith and therapy and coaching and mentoring, which we haven't talked about much today, where they sit and where Jesus sat at that table. So yes, you should stay tuned for next week. We're now going to go into the nitty-gritty of things. What a powerful and eye-opening conversation. We have come to an end, sadly, but we have to. And I think we can all agree that healing is holy, growth is godly, and there is no shame in seeking support, whether it's coaching, whether it's mentoring, whether it's therapy. These are not signs of weakness. As you could hear from our guest, they are tools for strength, for resilience, for transformation. So if you've been listening tonight and felt that tag, don't ignore it. Take it, grab it, reach out, ask questions, take the step. We are here and you don't have to do life alone. Keep sharing this video to people. Let them join. Let them put your questions there if you were not able to do that today. You don't know who needs it and do not know where to go. This is just the beginning of a bigger movement, which we're going to tell you in our final year, the movement of breaking, in our final weekend, the movement of breaking stigma, building resilience, and embracing wholeness. Thank you, Uncle Sak. Thank you, Mama J, for sharing your heart with us. And thank you all for tuning in. Now, the counselor herself has a problem. Why should I take mine to her to resolve? Therapy is only for crazy people. Talking to a stranger about your problem is shameful. Therapists will make you doubt God or your culture. Depression, anxiety, trauma, it's all demons, no mental health issues. Coaching is a scam. It's just people telling you what to do. This and many more are the myths that we would be exploring alongside where and how to confidently seek help. Until next time, no stigma, just support. Catch you next week. And thank you all for joining. Bye.
Bye.
Now remember to be intentional.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Intentional about everything in life. Be intentional.
Awesome. Thank
Awesome.
you. Are we